Hi, I'm Judson Robinson, President and CEO of the Houston Area Urban League, and this is the Timeline of Progress. What does leadership mean to me? I think leaders come in all types of brands. You have those who are very direct and forceful, have real serious intentions about what they want to do, and set out a way to accomplish it. I think there are others who are more willing to listen to the input of others, who might be willing to talk about ways in which there could be a compromise to get things done, because I think in life, oftentimes people all have the same goals. The question is, how do we reach the goal together? And so in some cases, it might be where you would work with someone to accomplish it and maybe not do it exactly the way that you would have intended to originally, but with the input of others, maybe there's a better way to get something accomplished. If not better, maybe just different. The moment I knew I had to do something was probably almost 40 years ago. I got a call from actually a radio personality from KMJQ at the time, and they asked if I would be involved in the help of a young girl who was in need of a kidney transplant. It probably had something to do with the fact that my father was on city council at the time. He was the first African American to serve on Houston City Council. And so there was a bit of maybe name identification and, of course, identifying with a younger population at the time, that perhaps I could be of some help. We got together, we worked hard to help raise the monies necessary to help save Shauna's life, and I think we did that for a period of time. But certainly it gave me the feeling of the importance of helping to serve others. And of course, growing up in a household where you watch that every day, my dad being in politics, and seeing those late evening calls come in about perhaps a son or a daughter was in some type of trouble and perhaps a city elected official could be of help, was something that I witnessed, to have discussions around the dinner table about the challenges of the day, things that took place where he was able to make a difference due to the position of elected leadership. These things, I think, had a lot to do with how I felt about and developed into this spirit of trying to serve your fellow man, and how that actually is something that many things cannot add up to in terms of its value in your position in life and your ability to give back. I think about those who pursue all the material things that this world has to offer. And that's fine, but it's really about what do you do with those material things. I recall when my father passed, and sitting at his funeral, someone came up to me and told me about some of the great things that my father had done to help that person be successful in life. And as I went through the next several weeks, many people shared with me the importance of his involvement in their life and how it had helped to redirect perhaps the progress they were now experiencing. So that really meant a lot to me. I think it had a lot to do with me deciding that this too would be a journey that I would be willing to take, the journey to serve others. So the ability to serve on city council as a council member at large meant that, much like my dad, I was elected by the majority of the entire city, which is different than being elected as a district council member. So you had to have a broad appeal to the needs and desires of those who went to the polls to vote. It had to be something that was not only good for a particular district, but something that was good for the entire citizenry, the entire city of Houston. And I think oftentimes that's what we miss today, is that we are often fighting for just a particular group of people, as opposed to working for the best of all people. And so, here we have some of the divided politics that we have today, because it is about various groups being pitted against one another, which in an at-large system of government, that is not the way it works. It works for the best of all people. I think my silent mentor, like many of us, would be our parents. I think a lot about my mother. My mother was the person who stood behind and besides my father to help him achieve many of the successes that he's known for today. She was holding the household down. She was helping to hold the businesses down. She was his confidence when he was feeling tired and feeling perhaps unable to accomplish something that needed to be done. She was that voice that he could hear that others couldn't. And being that person that oftentimes has to take on the responsibility of supporting leadership when you are standing in the shadows isn't often something that many people these days want to do. But she saw the potential that he had and wanted to be a part of supporting that potential because she knew that that would mean a benefit to the broader community. So oftentimes she would tell him, and she would tell me, when you reach that fork in the road and you're not sure quite what to do, just be silent, just listen. Righteousness will find you and you'll take the right steps. One of the things I would tell my 13-year-old self is that you don't know it all yet. Keep living, keep experiencing things, and keep listening to those who have accomplished some of the dreams and goals that you might have that have already shown the way to do it. I would tell them to read books. I would tell them to investigate those who become successful and copy that pattern. It's not necessary to go out and reinvent the wheel. Many of the wheels that we want to turn are already in place. Enjoy being 13. Try not to be 30 too soon. Aspire to those who have been through the journey and take their advice. My hope for African Americans this year is that we understand the importance of politics in our lives. Most of the time, people will say to me, it doesn't matter if I vote or not. But it does matter to those who are voting because they are having their way with decisions that are made on behalf of our country. If you want to be involved in the decisions that are made on behalf of your community and of your country, you have to make your voice heard. You have to take the time to go vote. You have to take the time to learn the issues, to be involved in the process of politics, because the process of politics is the process of progress. So it's up to us. Hear me out. I was selected to be a part of this interview today because I'm valued as a leader in your community. I've lived and walked the life of a person who's dedicated himself to public service, who's watched a family dedicate themselves to public service. And public service is you. Public service means that we're here trying to make a better community for those in which we live with. And I live in a community of African Americans. African Americans who for decades and generations have not seen equity and equality. If you go to the polls and vote, you will be taking a step in that direction. You can have better neighborhoods, you can have safer schools, you can have quality roads to drive down, and you can have equality overall as a people. But you have to vote for people who will believe in the things and the issues that are important to your community. Trust and believe. As a leader, I encourage you to take your future into your own hands. One of the most important and powerful and impactful ways that you can do that is to go to the polls and vote.